What's up, everybody? It's Geoff Grammer with the Albuquerque Journal, and I'm joined by colleague Sean Reider, our college football writer at the Journal, and we are at UNM right now after the weekly press conference with Jason Eck and Lobo football coach Jason Eck, that is. And Sean, what's the big takeaway?
I'm going to have to talk a little bit louder than normal today because we're having some technical difficulties. So if you can't hear me great, that might be why we're going off Jeff's laptop speaker. But
yeah, we know.
A lot of takeaways. Obviously, UNM is coming off a 34-17 loss to number 14 Michigan. I don't know where they are in the new AP poll. I think they're 15, something like that. I would have to double check that. That was generally graded as, by fans at the very least, a very good showing. A lot more respectable than maybe some people probably anticipated it being. Tough place to play. The Big House, I think, is the biggest stadium UNM football has ever played in, and they have played in some big ones. They've done Neyland in Tennessee. They have done Kyle Field and for Texas A&M. But yeah, the Big House and that kind of intimidating environment to come out there and get some stops, put some drives together. That certainly won a lot of fans over. Players and coaches, though, that kind of made it clear today. They were disappointed with the loss, and I kind of made the point to say, but he's never gotten so many congratulations in his life over a 17-point loss. Now to turn the page to Idaho State, who had a really interesting opener. They really kind of pushed UNLV right to the edge in their opener, and yeah, they throw it a lot. They're a very different offense than Michigan, and they have a new kind of 3-3, 3-5 defense from what I'm kind of seeing. That throws a lot at them too. And there are some, we can get into it with the questions.
So what you think of, first of all, your kind of general reaction of being at as I kind of still troubleshoot some stupid stuff. So your reaction there, coming back, watching it, you've watched it on TV now too, right?
I was able to watch half of the broadcast again. Part of that was I was trying to do it in the airport on my way back, and it's a Peacock game. I wasn't able to save it. So I'm going to have to finish that up later tonight or tomorrow.
So it was a 17-point loss. I like the fact that Jason Eck today at his presser addressed this himself before ever being asked, because I kind of felt like I was going to be a jerk and sort of ask the question. But it's a 17-point loss, and everybody here is treating it like a win. Like everyone's so excited about it, and everybody's patting these guys on the back. That's not exactly a culture builder, a 2-touchdown plus loss and being happy about it. So I was going to ask, but he addressed it before I even did. How do you approach the fact that you have a bunch of players and they're pretty happy about coming off a 17-point loss? And he said, we remind them that, you still lost. This isn't, there were things that we could have done. There were mistakes made that weren't just about Michigan having a bunch of 4-stars and 5-star athletes. There were mistakes made that the Lobos could have corrected, or had they not made, the outcome maybe could have been different. I don't think anybody other than maybe some of the people in that locker room expected them to win. So I would say they acquitted themselves pretty well. But they also are now getting treated like they won a game that they lost.
Yeah, and he even kind of pointed out, that might have been something that Idaho State dealt with, right? They went out and they lost only by, I think, 8 or 7 to
it's a one-score game against UNLV.
One-score game to UNLV, and they acquitted themselves quite well. Then they went down, played another FCS team in Southern Utah, and gave up 42 points, lost. Now they're 0-2 coming to University State. I mean, gotta emphasize, that's not something we can allow to happen, right? Now the fact that they're going up against a team that they should be better at in terms of athleticism and stuff like that, should be. I want to emphasize, I don't know for sure, but yeah, no, they should be better in that aspect as well too, and that should help as well. But yeah, no, you can't let your foot off the gas and all that. And he even made a point to say like that, there has been a culture of losing football around here, right? And that's something we need to address to move past.
I thought it was interesting that he obviously took the job knowing what the history was, and he's been around it the entire offseason, and he's doing everything he can just to get people to come to the game. So he understands to a point what the culture is. I got the impression that just since Saturday, he kind of got another level of what the culture around here has been because of how excited people were about the loss, but how they played in the loss. Now, again, I think they deserve pats on the back for the way they played. They played well. But I got the impression today that he seemed almost a little bit surprised by just how excited everybody that was at that game that was a Lobo fan or booster or whatever. And since he's been back, all the praise he's been getting, I think kind of opened his eyes even more to maybe just how bad the culture has been for a long time around this program.
Yeah, I think so too. And I'll be clear too, like we're not begrudging fans for being excited about this game. Like I think there's absolutely a lot to be excited about in terms of how it played out, how hard they played, and the fact that at a certain point, like they just did not roll over.
And they had every reason to after that first quarter.
Yeah, exactly. And they had reasons to, honestly, in the second half as well.
Yeah, and then after that first quarter, especially, I will say that a lot of games in that big house get away from you when it's 14-0 and 110,000 fans are going crazy.
No, and that's something he said last week too. It's the element of like he told the guys on Thursday, or whatever. Actually, he said it after the game. It's like the element of when you're in that environment and you go down big, it just gets so out of hand so quickly, and it's that you just lose it in 5 minutes there. And it would have been more like losing it in a full quarter. But yeah, you would have had the opportunity to roll over there.
We'll get back to some general thoughts that we had from the presser and all that. Aztec 2 Tacoma is asking, is CJ McBean going to be replacing Brawley? He does say Bradley there in that post, but he does correct it with Brawley here.
Yeah, so the context here, Austin Brawley, as you all know, took kind of a weird hit, left the game with the injury, starting field safety for UNM. He's a guy that's really familiar with this particular defense. He played under defensive coordinator Spence Nowinski at Ohio. I almost said Idaho there, but at Ohio, in Athens, Ohio. And a guy that has been a team captain. He's a leader. You talk to safeties coach Clay Bignell, and he's like, having him is just absolutely huge. He goes such a long way for us in terms of communicating things and getting us in calls and all that. He is going to be out. X said, probably they're hopeful they can get him back for the maybe the end of the season. He's dealing with a foot thing. They might look into maybe redshirting him. He does have some redshirt availability, so that might be something that they do. But that is really the first major injury blow that this team has sustained, and that's a tough one. From what we are seeing on the depth chart, and I will post the updated depth chart because it changed it from the one I posted yesterday. We're actually seeing Drew Speech as the starting field safety. That is not that surprising. He did mention today that Speech had been out for some stretches during camp. And so I was a little cute, but he also, honestly, towards the end of camp, he was getting a good amount of reps. So Drew Speech and Aaron Smith are the guys listed there. CJ McBean, I don't believe he played a snap against Michigan. I would have to double check, unless it was on special teams. I haven't looked at the snap counts there. But no, it's probably looking like Drew Speech for now. And we'll see what Speech can do. Brawley is a legitimate loss for this defense. And that, everybody saw that drive where he was in on literally every single play on that 3-and-out, and then caught the punt after that. But no, legitimate loss. But yeah, we'll see what we can do with Speech.
All right, Jack Lane, big topic of conversation during the game and at today's presser. What can you report as to what Jason Eck today said about the fact that his quarterback showed he could take a beating?
Yeah, don't want to see it again. Right? You don't want to see that again. You don't want to put him in a position where he can, where he is going to sustain kind of a beating like that. And I think it was endearing to a certain point, right? It caught my eye, it caught your eye, it caught a lot of fans' eyes. Like, holy cow, like this guy is a fighter. I'll go back to Saturday's point where I kind of said in the live show after. Like, I don't think there was anything in that game where I was like, Jack Lane should not be the starting quarterback, and that level of toughness, that level of grit to like keep going out there and keep dealing with that. Yeah, that's going to get fans on your side pretty quickly. But no, they have to protect him better, and that was the point. He kind of said this today on his own accord in his opening statement. Looking back at the Michigan tape, there were more things than I kind of initially thought that were related to us not executing and us not being, in the right call, or tackling better, or blocking better, or countering, working with our protections better, than it was just, hey, we're going up against Michigan and all that too. We asked him that on Saturday. He said like, yeah, he's kind of a bit of both and all that as well. We do got to protect better, but we're also going up against a really good Michigan team. Today it was a little more, hey, no, we really need to protect better and all that too.
I thought it was interesting too. And first of all, for all the praise being heaped upon the toughness of your quarterback, there were a couple plays that Jack messed up that Eck was saying today.
And he made a point to say, like, look, like at a certain point, like some of the the pressure there and all that.
Yeah.
He was starting to look at the rush and really start to feel that, and that was affecting play. And of course, it will, right? But
So I thought that was interesting. I also thought, though, your question to him about is there a positive to watching game film and seeing, you don't want to see your team make mistakes, but to know that you lost by 17 to a team that is paying an awful lot of money for an awful lot of talented players, you basically asked him something to the effect of, is there almost some level of encouragement to see that you guys made a lot of mistakes? You guys didn't just get overwhelmed and get beat, because mistakes you would think can be correctable. So his reaction to that was what?
Yeah, his reaction was it's kind of a bit of like both, right?
Yeah.
Like, you're heartened a little bit on that sense of, like, hey, like they're not head and shoulders better than us. That's a good thing, right? To be at that point in year one, where maybe you execute a couple things better, and you're probably going to fall a turnover or two short of really kind of taking them all the way and winning that game.
Right.
But still, yeah, being in that spot, that's a good place to be. It's a better place to be than this program has been, kind of year ones and all that as well. But also, it's like you still need to execute, right? And there's no better way. I don't remember who asked the question. You might ask the question about.
It was a good one. It's probably me.
The element of I actually think Devin asked it. It's like, you're on this big stage and you have this opportunity to perform and all that. Do you feel like they kind of?
Oh yeah,
they feel like they got to
Devin, yeah.
Devin with KOB asked a really good question. About
Basically the question was, did you take advantage of your opportunity?
Take advantage of the opportunity, yes. Yeah. And I thought he gave a pretty good response to that too, in the element of like, I think we kind of did, but not all the way, right?
Yeah.
And that's a big thing. Like, honestly, like,
the answer is basically, I don't want to say we did everything we could, because if that was everything we could, then it's not as impressive. It's, to a coach, a little more impressive that they competed and they played well, but there was still some left in the tank that this team can get better and be better at if they correct some mistakes. 70 new players, whatever the number is, first year coaching staff. This is basically a brand new team starting a season in the big house. I thought the fact that they had the one penalty and just didn't beat themselves was really impressive. And for them then to see still some mistakes that, had they corrected, I don't know what the number is, but say there were 10 mistakes. Had they corrected 4 of those, maybe it's a 14-point game or a 10-point game and not 17.
Maybe it's kind of like the Oregon game last year, where at one point they kind of start a little bit slower and they end up cutting it to 3, and everybody's kind of like, oh, we need to get this Oregon-Idaho game on. Maybe it gets to that point, right?
Yeah.
Maybe it's not a win, but you do kind of take that push.
Yep.
It requires, Michigan to really, mash the gas pedal, in the fourth quarter to make it happen.
All right, Juan is telling us, just kind of following up to what we were speaking to earlier about Brawley, just losing him hurts. Dude was everywhere in the back end.
Juan, you're and Juan, good to hear from you, by the way. It is legitimately, it's a pretty big loss. I think if you had to kind of rank defensive losses and all that, I don't know if losing Brawley would be like at the top in terms of like, this guy's irreplaceable, but he was up there, man. That's a guy that there's a lot of benefits of having in the back end. So I will probably be talking to Drew Speech today and chatting with him a little bit. So we will see what we get from him today. I'm
going to take one out of order here. Fly to Sky. I'll get to you in just a second here. Richie, just because it's talking about a little bit about the Jack stuff, but Richie has a comment about the O-line takes pride in protecting the quarterback. So I'd expect them to have a bit of more communication after taking on a nonstop car crash at Michigan.
I'll say this.
I thought the O-line played fairly well, mostly. I don't think it was, I wouldn't, well, in pass protection, they couldn't gain any traction in the run game. The run game was bad, didn't perform, and I think a lot of that had to do.
The run game to me, that is probably, I think we focused more on terms of like Michigan's personnel affecting them in the pass rush and all that. The run game to me
was a personnel
a bit more. That one felt a lot more like a personnel thing than anything else.
I would agree with that.
I would say that's probably that and kind of like kick returns.
Yeah,
we're kind of like the things that's like those are the things they can kind of nullify easiest with their personnel.
That's probably right. Overall, what would you grade the O-line?
Oh gosh.
I don't think I'd go below a C, even though there was a ton of pressure on the quarterback and no run game.
Let me think about this a little bit while I kind of talk a little bit about Richie's point here. The O-line does take a ton of pride in protecting the quarterback.
Yep.
Jack Lane, when they were playing Oregon last year, got injured That was his first injury of the season. He only played 6 games last year at Idaho and all that, and he got hit on a play. I don't remember the exact play, frankly. And he left the game with it. And Caden Robnett, who's the starting center on this team, and he was playing in that game against Oregon. We talked about him. We talked to him about that before the Michigan game, and he kind of got like a little emotional to a certain point. He's like, that was my fault. Like, I can't, like, we're not going to have that happen again.
Right.
And it didn't happen again, but it got kind of close, right? He got pounded. I think grade overall. I don't know. I would probably. I think you have to give them a little bit of a curve in terms of the personnel they're going up against. They're not going to play a guy like Eric Moore again this year and all that too. So you got to think about that. But I would probably still go D. I mean, honestly, like I have a hard time putting it above a D, and that's factoring both the pass pro and the run blocking too.
So,
do I think it's like the worst D in the world? And no, like I think it's maybe a little bit more understandable, right? It's the first game out, and you're figuring things out there. I am curious to see it, and I asked about today. I'm curious to see how much more they rotate. It still seems like they have avid plans. It's still rotating, particular at right tackle.
Yeah.
I think Go Lobos tweeted at me on one of the depth charts. It seems like Shaw has like lost his starting job and all that. Shaw to me was not really like kind of like the starter. It's just a guy that they're rotating back in after he got healthy and all that as well. But I think this team has a good interior offensive line, a lot of options right now, and they can work some things out there. I think the tackle play is kind of that to me is where you might be seeing the most issues.
All right, I am going to try and pull up the depth chart while we talk here and see if that works. But again, who knows with my apparent lack of understanding on why my work computer won't allow me to do updates. All right. Is the depth chart showing up on the screen here?
I am not seeing it.
No, why would you? How about that? Yeah, but so is your tweet there. All right. So you have a depth chart now on the screen. And
Are you pulling up the one from my Twitter?
Yeah, but the corrected one.
No. That's still not correct.
So today
they put out 3 depth charts since. So for those listening at home that might have seen, and I don't even know if this one's online yet, frankly. For those listening at home, I posted one depth chart and then an update depth chart that kind of cleaned up a couple things yesterday. That depth chart has been updated to reflect that Austin Brawley's going to be out for a bit. Drew Speech is now the starting field safety. I don't think there were any other changes on the defense. No, there was one change in the defense. There's kind of an in the depth with CJ Johnson at boundary safety. That's been removed. Tavian Combs, kind of the locked-in starter there. And then I don't believe there's been a single change in the offense.
I can tell you about one difference from last week in the depth chart. There are no Tom Hanks.
There are no Tom Hanks. Yes, there's no Leonardo DiCaprio. Billy Costigan is long gone from punt return.
He's gone.
Yeah. Departed, you might say.
You might. All right. Moving on then. Let's go to Fly to Sky 505. Even though it's 15 years ago, the 72-0 loss to Oregon is still fresh in the minds of Lobo fans. A 17-point loss to a team that is only a couple of years removed from a natty is definitely a win.
Yeah.
And that's sort of what he addressed in his opening. Is he gets why fans certainly view it as a win of sorts. I mean, or semantics. I mean, they're happy with that performance, right? But what he doesn't want to do is start not treating every game like a winnable one. So the second you start saying we're happy with what we did at Michigan is the second you start slipping a little bit on building this culture in that locker room of what you're going for. And so they do have a fine line. I mean, he doesn't want them to be down right now. He wants them to be happy and excited, but also with the understanding that they still lost by 2 touchdowns plus. So, but you're right. The 72-0 Oregon game, the fact that they performed this well in a money game, I don't remember the last money game that UNM performed this well in.
Well, I mean, look, they had the first halves in the Arizona and then the Auburn games last year, frankly, too, right?
I don't think the finals were
No, the
17
final
points,
what?
right?
Auburn was like 45-19, and then Arizona just mashed the gas because they had Tetero McMillan, and Noah Pola Gates was the only guy who could do anything against them, and they kind of figured that out a little too late.
Yep.
The one thing that I would say too, in the idea of this being a win, and I did write, I kind of lettered this in my notebook after the game, and there's one thing I wish I would have left out. I do think it's kind of a win in the sense that, maybe we do need to recalibrate expectations for UNM in this particular version of the Mountain West, where Boise is looking a little rocky. I think Boise's still going to win a bunch of games, but I don't think it's they're the automatic yes, they are the best team in the conference. UNLV, I think they're going to get better, but I think they look like they can be a little bit gettable at a certain point.
I'll say this: there's no combination of teams in this current Mountain West that I would say could form a power conference.
Yeah.
They can take the best out of this league right now.
Some Utah State fan is going to find this right now, and we're going to
look. Nobody
we're going to get clips.
This Mountain West is not
all up to Utah State.
Is not forming a power conference next year in any combination. But what that tells you is that it's a I don't want to say a winnable league for New Mexico.
No, you're not going to get to that point yet, right?
But
you
why
need to actually win some games in the league first?
Why can't you after week one though say, yeah, we can get to 6, which is the magic number in college football?
Exactly.
Why? I won't recalibrate my prediction, which is over the 3.5 win total, but under the 6 bowl games. So obviously that puts it at 4 or 5 wins. I haven't gone game by game to tell you which ones I think they are. I'll still stick with the 4 or 5 win total, but man, I'm leaning more towards they can get to the 6 than I am that they won't hit their win total of 3.5, which is what Vegas said at that.
And the one thing I wish I would have added to that notebook too, and I'll say it right here now, is that we were all watching the SMU Nevada game last year in week 0 I think it was a week 0 game, and all going, whoa, Nevada's giving them all they can take. And we find out, later that, Nevada just
had nothing left, apparently.
It didn't have a ton left after that, right? And actually, I'll say this. They gave Boise a good scare. They kind of took them to the brink and just weren't able to close a lot of games, frankly. But
there's not a column in the win-loss column for giving a team all you can give them.
Exactly, right? And it's and we find out, hey, SMU we're going to get away from the Preston Stone experience, and then we're going to go to the college football playoff, right? We're going to be right there for an ACC title too. So there is kind of that reality that I think, that we should probably all have in our heads to a certain point. But it is one game. It's a small sample size. It was a good sample size.
Yep.
But yeah, things can change quickly.
Richie's saying they will be better against the Taters.
Oh, they're the Bengals. You're thinking of Idaho. Although those fighting Tater helmets are pretty sweet. Pretty cool. I'm a big fan of those.
Anyone from Idaho you call the Taters, can't you?
That feels like we're veering into uncomfortable territory.
Is it?
I don't know if I like that.
All right.
I don't know.
All right.
Gilbert's
in with it sucks to lose Brawley because he was a brawler. Nice. Maybe they can rally and dedicate the rest of the season to playing with some intensity, the same intensity that he does.
He is not a big dude. He is probably faster and kind of quicker than you think, although he doesn't have insane straight line speed by any stretch of the imagination. But yeah, he's a gritty dude that has kind of maxed out his skill set in a lot of respects. And yeah, it definitely sucks to lose a guy who knows what he's doing in this defense, is comfortable in this defense, plays fast, plays with aggression, right? And bringing in a new guy who maybe isn't as comfortable, you're kind of going to lose some things there. With how important the safeties are on this defense too.
All right, I am looking now at X, and I'm seeing, as we talk about the rest of the league, I see BJ Rains just tweeted that he has 510,000 views and counting on a clip he posted of Coach Danielson saying that was absolutely unacceptable. Not only was it a huge play, they're talking about a specific play, and I thought that was the quote that he had posted about just their play in general.
This was was this the penalty?
Yeah.
So the DB or whatever.
Yeah. But what I was trying to highlight here, because I thought it was a different quote, was Boise State was not happy with how they played.
No, frankly, they're at a different point than New Mexico, right?
Well, but that's sort of what that's the point I'm making is you can take a lot of things from week 1 games and week 2 games, week 0 games, whatever. The program that is supposed to be the most established in this league and ahead of everybody is apologizing for their performance in week one. The team that was picked last in the league, second to last rather, and not expected to have anything with a brand new coach, is sitting there trying not to get too excited about how much praise they're getting in a loss. So obviously everything's relative, right? You'd still overall take your rooting interest out. You'd still overall say, you'd rather be Boise State than New Mexico right now, with just your overall feel of where your program's at for right now. But like, man, it's been a while. Last year, maybe you felt this a little bit, even though there was the 0-4 start. But it's been a while that I think you could look at the whole league and think that New Mexico has some wins like they do this year. Now, last year, I think you thought there might have been a couple wins, but I'm telling you, I don't see on a given Saturday why New Mexico, after such a small sample size, like take everything with a grain of salt that I'm saying, but after such a small sample size of this league, I don't see why, if you're New Mexico, you're thinking there's going to be a week this year in league play that you won't have at least a chance to win.
Yeah, and a lot of that's going to come down to like injuries and availability.
Of course,
right? If a couple more, we went down this road last year too with kind of defensive injuries, particularly injuries in the secondary, right? Those really hampered some rock solid opportunities at wins. So you're going to have to just take it week by week, see how it goes.
All right, let me ask you this: trick play. We talked about the trick play tonight. We talked about the trick play in terms of not tonight, today at the presser. The history of it, when he's played it, when he's run it before, when he might be doing it more, all that kind of stuff. What's your reaction to the fun, exciting trick play that scored a touchdown? Before I just asked you a question. Now wait, I did find it interesting that he knew exactly how far he wanted to get. He knew exactly what scenario he wanted to run that play in. It wasn't going to just be for a first down. It sounded like it was going to be exactly what it was. You get kind of inside the 10 or around that 10-yard line. He knew that like getting a 4th and 1 and getting a first down inside the 10, if you're just giving yourself a 1st and goal from about 8 or 9 yards out,
it's going to be really condensed of Michigan. It's going to be really, you're going to have a hell of a hard time running. And you kind of got to go for the touchdown.
Well, being a hoops guy and talking analytics with basketball coaches, like I liked hearing him say twice today, our analytics company graded me out on this. And it's interesting to hear that. I didn't realize he really got a grade after games, like as coaching decisions.
I'll pause you on that. I'm pretty sure they used a company that Rob Ash, who's the former head coach at Montana State, that he worked under. Okay. He ended up, after that, leaving Montana State. He got he started up an analytics company, and they've been doing business with them ever since, as long as Jason has kind of been coaching and all that too. That is a part of the game that he likes. They don't quite do I've been around staffs where they have like an analytic book that one person carries on the sideline. It's like, all right,
it looks at every scenario.
We have this D&B here. Well, should we go for this? They get the grades after. And you pressured the point. Not pressured the point. You asked the question about the timeout. And
right.
He said he got a
bad grade on that.
He got a bad grade. He was overly aggressive.
Yeah. They called him overly aggressive on that. Had it been about 3rd and 20, which he had a number that came to mind that I'm guessing somewhere in there it told him. 3rd and 20 situation, that timeout wouldn't have been a bad call. 3rd and 14 wasn't quite, I guess daunting enough for Michigan to overcome that. It made it worth it. But yeah, he got graded out poorly on that timeout call. And I'll say this, and I had a conversation on X with somebody about this over the weekend, is in real time, I didn't like the call. I might have been in the minority. I think a lot of people were excited about it. But I just didn't like, you're getting the ball at the end of or to start the second half. You would just cut the score, to what was it, 17-10, I think at that point. Yeah. And at 13.
No, this was end of the first half, right?
End of the first half,
End of the first half, yeah.
Oh, what did I say?
You said start of the second half.
Well, yeah, but they were getting the ball at the start of the second half.
Yeah.
So a minute 30 left in the half, 3rd and 14 with a minute 30 to go. What Michigan would have done there had you not called the timeout is milk that clock down and still try to get the first down, and maybe they still would have.
Yeah.
But then you're looking at about a minute to go in the half, or a little under, and Michigan may not have finished the half that way. They may have settled for a field goal. They might not have gone for the touchdown like they did. But anyway, regardless, so what I asked him was, about that is, we're still learning about you as a coach. Like, are you always going to be that aggressive? And he kind of gave an interesting answer. It was, I'm aggressive, but also the analytics grade me out on that. And I do see how those aggressive decisions play out and how they grade out and how they work or not. And he said he admitted he's probably a little too aggressive in that scenario. But it's interesting. He's not just kind of going by his gut all the time. He's basing it on data.
Yeah, and going back to the trick play too. The name of the play is Beaver.
Beaver.
Last pulled out in 2021 against North Dakota State when he was offensive coordinator at South Dakota State. He said that trick play will not appear at any other point this year. It's a dead giveaway if they line up that formation. That is just something that you can use every so often. Has to be kind of a 4th and 1 that spot. It can't even really be a 4th and 2, frankly. It just has to be that 4th and 1. And he mentioned that offensive coordinator Luke Schleissner, when they lined up, he was on the headset. He's like, I don't like the look here. And Jason was kind of like, well, we'll see how it goes. I'm going to have to pull the video too. It was just great football guy stuff, just phenomenal football guy stuff that he's stepping away from the podium to show the aim point, like the aiming point on what the snap should have been.
I don't know.
Like right to the shins.
Yeah, I don't know if Chase caught that or not. So on the UNM YouTube feed, we'll have to go check it out.
But I will post that if it's actually a decent video. But I enjoyed that. I like that. I appreciate it.
All right, we got the stable chiming in with the Boise State logo saying, for right now, y'all will never catch up with Boise State. Sorry, little bro.
I don't think that's even really what we said.
No.
And I'll be honest, I don't care.
I don't really care if UNM catches up to Boise State.
I don't care.
But I'm glad Boise State fans find UNM football content interesting enough to watch a live show of. Thanks for tuning in, stable. See one. Oh, we already got that one. Well, no,
we have a new
one. Yeah. Outside of Brawley, are they generally healthy? What's the health situation?
They're gonna get Sean Miller back this week. So I'm expecting them to play 4 receivers. They only went with 3: Ziel Smith, Keegan Johnson, and Mike Buckley, who also, by the way, Jason said he hadn't seen like the broadcast copy of the Buckley catch, kind of dive into the sideline, and
it was not a catch.
It really wasn't a catch. I remember typing out one hell of a catch and then seeing it on the replay, and after I sent that tweet, going, yeah, that's not a catch. But
it was cool to hear a coach talk about that too. He's like,
he said we'll do that every time. Just snap it, and keep going, right?
Sometimes coaches will play it along the lines of, we thought it was a catch, and just wanted to run the next play.
No, he said, no, we will.
He said we don't know if we caught it, so we're trying to get the playoff, so it would count anyway.
Exactly. So Sean Miller's going to be back. Neville Brown, who was listed on the depth chart, right tackle. He was kind of he was available. He's questionable for the game. He's had like a dislocated thumb or whatever. He was only going to be an emergency situation if a guy went down, kind of at one of the tackle spots, you'd slide him in there, or at least rotate a little bit with him. So they're expecting him, I believe, to be good to go. There is one other one I am missing, I think. Oh, I asked about, back to the receivers, Cater Joe, who was questionable before the game, and then wide receiver Isaiah Blair, who was not questionable, had no designation, but just didn't play. It kind of surprised me. I thought he was going to be the 4th guy to really take some reps in that room. Those were guys that were dealing with injuries.
They didn't even go to a 4th guy, though.
No, they went to If they're not going to the 4th guy against Idaho State, I think they'll be a little concerning. But we'll see. And we have another one that just came up.
So there's a couple more. I'm going to jump into this one real quick. And so Ricky Thompson is saying, R. Thompson, I think that's Ricky, right? I liked the offensive package with Lobstein. It got corrected. It got corrected in the presser today, and I would feel way worse about mispronouncing his name if Jason Eck himself didn't also mispronounce it. Also, Lane needs to get rid of the football quicker to help the line look like a statue at times.
I will say you're not wrong.
There were times.
I thought mostly he did an okay job getting the ball out there.
It's a tricky situation too, right? If he gets rid of the ball at the last second, everyone says, "Oh, he stood in there and took the hit."
Yeah.
If he stays just a little too long and takes that hit, though, sometimes it's on him. And
I do need to finish the rewatch before I probably get in a little bit of that as well. But I don't know. Like a statue, I don't know. Let me finish the replay.
All right, one more quick, not injury update, but this, and then I'm going to get to the trick play question.
Jason brought up Darren Agu on his own accord today. Darren Agu, obviously, he is a defensive lineman, Vanderbilt transfer. He is still out of the country right now. He was not here for fall camp. And he kind of said if he's not back, within like the next week, the next 2 weeks, he's probably not a guy that's going to be really playing at all this season, just because of the ramp up. You kind of need to get back into playing football and all that. So I don't know. I mean,
you also got to consider the 4-week thing, right? Like
exactly.
Well, I guess he could play still if he wanted, but it's once you play 4, then you can't redshirt. So.
Yeah, and we'll probably have some more redshirt content at these press conferences in the next couple of weeks more than anything.
He said he doesn't even think about it until 3rd or 4th week until it matters.
And he said, like it used to be, maybe you might have more of a plan heading into the season. Now it's hey, with the portal and all that, like we'll just see how it goes, right?
Adam Lopez on X is asking, is his trick playbook as deep as Ben Johnson's? I like what he said about the trick plays too.
Yeah.
I did ask him, I said, so this was the only one, right? You're not going to run another trick play. They have a good number. Yeah, they have a bank of them, as I think that was the term.
That was the term, yeah.
They have a bank of them, and but they do go. They don't just like randomly pull them out every game either. They know that in this case, Michigan and that defensive front and how hard it is from a goal line inside the 10 situation, how hard it would be to move the ball 8 yards.
Yeah. If offense is what the defense gives you, right? Some defenses are going to give you certain, they're going to give you better looks on some things, give you worse looks on other things.
And his trick play bank is based on scenarios that opponent gives them, and things that they see, which makes sense. And but yeah, I think I would be willing to bet that based on his answer today is that they have a trick player 2 or 3 ready for every game, and will probably use. I'll say they probably use 1 trick play a game all season. I mean, that would just say they're going to use 12 this year. I'll bet you there'll be 12 trick plays this year. A couple games might be 2 of them. A couple games might be none.
I don't know if they hit a trick play a game.
You don't think they'll hit 1 a game?
If they hit a trick play a game.
All right.
Maybe this could be like another bet we have on the side.
Yeah. He did say we did run a reverse.
Yeah, they ran a reverse for 4 yards. Right?
And I don't count. I don't even count a reverse as a trick play anymore.
Yeah, and I give credit. I mean, it's trick play, right?
No,
it's just not quite as sensational as bounce, beaver and bouncing into the hand.
Is a reverse really even a trick play anymore? Like is a fly sweep? I mean, is a jet sweep?
Yeah, well, different deal.
Like you're just reversing action as a counter. You wouldn't call it counter, like you're just reversing field, like right, getting everything going one way and kind of is a naked boot a trick play?
A little bit, kind of. Okay, a little bit.
Maybe it is.
At least the way they did it.
We should ask Ned.
At least the way they did it last year, I would say it was a little more.
Yeah. Well, last year,
yeah.
I'm spitting now.
Okay.
I got to figure out what constitutes a trick play, because I don't think of a reverse as a trick play anymore.
Can we go back to the
yes? What do you want?
Question. So we didn't really talk about that. We just kind of got fired up on the lane thing.
Fired up.
Yeah, no. In terms of the offensive package with Lobstein, I believe Brad with KRQ asked this question. It was a good question about was that a package or how were you playing that? You said that was a package, right? We want to get Lobstein in there for some of those running reps and all that too.
If for no other reason than just to get him ready for later in the year.
Exactly, right. And that is something that they talked about. They wanted to get him reps in at least one non-conference game. So if he does have to play in week 9 or something like that, he's not going to be fresh to. We kind of saw it last yesterday. No, not really yesterday. Which game am I thinking about? Oh, I'm thinking of Michigan State, Western Michigan, right? It's they put the backup quarterback in and he immediately throws a pick 6. It's it's hard to come in and try and convert a 3rd down cold, right?
You're taking your first live snap in front of a crowd.
Exactly.
That's what he wanted to avoid. I will say, I
was curious to see if Lobstein would see some time against Michigan, but in the sense of, we want to get him in front of a crowd, and we want to get him in that sense purely getting him in front of a crowd, and having him kind of do that. It's not like he was in the shotgun like that,
right.
Going full under center, like we're going to run this offense purely, for lack of a better term. The Big House is a pretty good place to do that.
All right, so there's the Lobstein, like earlobe. For those that didn't already hear about all this stuff and maybe don't know, the Lobos athletic department is putting out a whole lot of new stuff coming out this year, or coming out this weekend too. A lot of new initiatives to try and get fans out. Some new food options that were introduced today. Excuse me. You could see, I don't know if you can see, but there's the countdown, 3 days, 22 hours, blah, 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 all that good stuff. I don't know. We set the over under last week. If I'm setting the over under crowd size this weekend at 20,000, I'm still going to go under.
Yeah.
I've been hearing long enough where I want to see it. But
that's a question I wish I would ask for today.
Well,
what would a successful first crowd?
Well, a couple questions even phrased it, and I think he referenced at some point some numbers, and he was using numbers in the 20s, right?
Yeah.
That said, like I do think they're trying everything, man. They are starting some new initiatives that, returning the Lobo walk, which seems like such a minor detail, but if you have no tradition, then why would fans like latch onto a program, right?
Yeah.
You got to start little traditions. If you don't have a kid zone,
and you got to bring back the ones that that were pretty. The Lobo walk is coming back, right? Like you got to bring some of those back. Right?
And they have a Lobo Lane pregame kind of tailgate area. No left turns coming into the stadium. They hope will help.
Have they talked to Zach Lobo Lane about the Lobo?
Oh, they should.
Have
right?
they talked to him about that?
I don't know.
It'll be tough. They got to shut up.
He did say they have 100 new points of sales in the stadium.
This is good. People should watch this press conference just to hear Grammer's first question on this.
Oh, like,
you were incredulous.
There's no way they have 100 new.
It was a big number to me too.
There's no way they have 100 new points of sales in that stadium. But as he said, some of them will be outside in the tailgate area. Some of them are just mobile vendors that can take your sale at the point of sale. But that said, whatever you went to a game last year, the number of places you could purchase a concession item last year, there are 100 more of those this year. Be it somebody walking around with beer, or I guess walking around with cotton candy or food. They don't have mobile beer vendors here, I don't believe. Anyway, 100 new points of sale locations are around the stadium. Student section has been moved. Kids get in free to one section. You cannot show up to the game. I still want to see how many people do this. You can't show up to the game with your kid and say, here's my ticket and here's my kid. There is a section that you have to buy your ticket in for the free kids thing. And I know it's sort of just been talked about as kids get in free. Well, it's only if you buy your ticket in a certain section. Just remember that. Like if you have season tickets, you can't just bring a bunch of 8-year-olds and expect to get them all in. So what else they got? Parking. He talked about the new food options. 3 new Lobo Louie dogs or Lobo dogs. There's the Louie, the Lucy, and the Chomper. We saw some of those today, and a couple other new food items. Anyway, they're trying to make the in-stadium experience better, and they're limited right now as to how much improvements they can have between now and the weekend. So what we see right now is kind of what you get. They do got a new video board up there. They have some new food options, and we'll have some pregame. They will have some pregame tailgating options that are new and opportunities. But other than that, it kind of comes down to whether or not the fans want to show up.
Yeah, and Lobo did talk a little bit, and I don't know if you have. I've talked to him a little bit about this in the past. He maybe more than any other AD or administrator I've really talked about. He's very I don't want to say passionate, but he cares a lot about the in-game scripting, and how that goes. He does not. He very much. He said it multiple times on the record. He does not want PA read after PA read after PA read.
He wants
music. He wants flexible to meet the ebb and flow of the game. Now sometimes if you're getting rocked out here or something like that, then it's gonna be a little tougher.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that he said that today. I don't want silence. He said silence kills it. PA reads kill momentum. If the other team calls a timeout to kill your momentum, the worst thing you could do is say, okay, everybody, focus your attention now to the south end zone where we have this person who's going to wave to you. Exactly, and so he did say he doesn't want to script his game day scheduling so much that kills, and be flexible enough to know that in a high momentum timeout, maybe you just play the music and get the crowd going a little bit. You don't do that kind of stuff, but there will be a DJ playing music during timeouts and stuff like that. It's sounds all simple, but they're trying to cover every little detail to see how much of those little incremental changes lead up to something that you actually see in the stands. So we shall see Saturday. Again, over under 20,000. I'll say under, but I do think that a good showing on Saturday will go a long way, and I do think the New Mexico State game will be well attended. All right, what are you looking for this week? What's success this week?
It's interesting, right? Think about Idaho State. They throw the ball a ton. I think they're just over 60%. And when they run the ball, they kind of run it right into the rush too. I do like their back, number 28. I don't know the name off the top of my head. I think he's honestly pretty all right. But they got some pretty talented receivers. Number 14, Shulikov. I like him a lot. He really stood out in the UNLV game. I have watched a quarter of the Southern Utah game, so I am not up on that all the way. My scouting report is not quite there. But no, I kind of made the point of he likes the quarterback. At Idaho State, they want to put him under pressure.
Yep.
They want to get him to a point where they want to get him under pressure, kind of stop the run, shore that up as well in terms of defending them. So I think that's something you want to look for, right? Because it is kind of a point where we're going to see. I don't know if the part of the defensive performance that I was against Michigan that I don't know if I'm sure players are disappointed and coaches are disappointed. I don't know if I was like, oh man, they couldn't stop Michigan from running inside zone. Like, oh no, the defense isn't going to be very good. Like Michigan's going to do that with everybody, right? Like, and they have the personality to do that with everybody and do it well. But definitely, I think getting some more pressure on this Idaho State quarterback. That's something I want to see because we saw a lot of that during fall camp, and it's been the best it's been. And I don't think he was bad against Michigan. I think part of it was, Michigan does have a pretty good offensive line, but maybe we're expecting a little more out of Keyshawn James Newby, and I will say Brett Carr, who had a pretty nice game. It was pretty good for Carr, what he did. Xavier Slayton did some good things.
I haven't seen the line yet for this game. Sometimes the FCS lines are slow to come out.
The extra game,
right? But
Bill Connolly, I think, has from his kind of thing. I'll double check it now.
Well, so I'll say this about the outcome of this game. I mean, the final score probably isn't going to be indicative of anything you could really take. If it's really competitive, though, in the fourth quarter, I think there's probably some cause for concern. You don't want to read too much into any one game, but I do think the Lobos to get a win outside of just winning the game, to really get the most out of this weekend. I do think to convince these fans to continue to latch on, I think you got to have a comfortable win. I think it's got to be, maybe if not dominant, it's got to be comfortable at least. I don't think it can be competitive in the fourth quarter and have a whole lot of fans be like, okay, I'm still buying in. You know? I do think you need a comfortable win.
Like 42-21. Would that be comfortable enough?
Probably. I mean, obviously,
you give up a fourth quarter TD.
Yeah, we don't know for sure how that plays out. If it's the Lobos scoring a couple late garbage touchdowns or something, when it's like midway through the fourth and still a one-score game, maybe that doesn't have the same feel. But look, a win's a win at this point. You just need wins in when you're building a program. Yeah. But if you're asking me what the best outcome could be, I do think that this fan base really needs to see a team that just competed in the Big House against a nationally ranked Michigan team come in and then handle this game like they're supposed to handle an FCS opponent. And then I think fans will at least carry on some momentum from week 1 to week 2, and it won't die in week 2.
And it's different from last year too, where it's Montana State coming in here and everybody's like, well, Montana State, like they could very easily be in the mix for national championship. And they played for a national championship. They're really good. But it's also not like Tennessee Tech 2 years ago or Maine 3 years ago. Like this, Idaho State's kind of right in the middle, right? Like they should have a winning season this year. They should be,
and they just showed
kind of in that spot.
They can give one of those games. They just gave one to UNLV.
Yeah, they're in an 0-2 hole. I don't know if I would read a ton into that record. Frankly, they gave UNLV a lot. I got to finish up this freaking Southern Utah game, honestly. So I don't have a huge read there. But no, I think they're going to be a competent football team. I think they're going to be hapless. And I don't think they're going to have the physical edge kind of everywhere. UNM will.
Yeah, look.
I think they're going to have mostly a physical edge, but I don't think they're going to have it everywhere.
Look, 34-17 was what the Lobos just lost by. And it wasn't as though anybody thought they were going to win that game, but they kept it competitive. I think they need that same score on the other side now. They got to win by 17 or 21.
And that's it. I've said this multiple times in the past. That is one thing that just kind of sucks. The element of don't get pounded, and then you got to go pound this team one week later. Right? It's a weird swing to be on, and then go right back to, hey, maybe be more competitive with this other P4 team. So.
All right, we got somebody saying, as we were about to sign off, so you guys know, and I will get this microphone situation figured out. I'll call the company if I have to. I'll call our IT as to why I can't do updates on my computer, all that good stuff. Jackson Eck is a legitimate Power 4 starter. I thought he had a good game.
He had a good game. He's a good player.
Give me one more game. I think you're probably right. I mean,
he
like,
really.
but let me see one more game out of him.
Yeah, he had offers out of the portal from Michigan State, North Carolina State, Stanford. Those are some of the P4 schools that were interested in him that I remember off the top of my head. And I think Western Michigan was another team that was in on him. And then obviously New Mexico, maybe Nevada. But yeah, no, he's a good player. And he, we didn't see him during spring. So he was kind of one of my bigger questions, right? And maybe not a huge question because he had so much tape on him, but no, he caught my eye live and he's been doing it ever since.
All right, we got one question here that if anybody at UNM can get an answer in quickly, I'll let you know. Costa del Verde Entertainment is asking, speaking of press conferences, any idea why UNM doesn't post its press conferences on the Mountain West Network? Most of the other schools do. It's on YouTube's UNM Athletics channel, but why it's not on the Mountain West Network, I don't know.
Yeah.
If I get an answer, I'll let you know. Juan is also saying, individuals that surprised y'all on Saturday. I thought, let's see, Karhu, Slayton played well. Outside of the obvious ones, of course. I thought there was one. Oh, man. Well, frankly, Dorian Thomas, even though we knew of him, I thought had a better game than I thought.
I'm probably a little jaded towards the Dorian Thomas thing, just how much I saw him in camp. It was kind of like, hey, this guy's a pretty good player.
Okay,
like, he's the most dynamic guy there.
I knew he was going to be good. I mean, he looked like he looked like he belonged.
And when you catching that trick play touchdown and like following up with another really nice touchdown grab, you're going to get well-deserved love there. I think Karhu's a good shout, Juan. I was curious how much run he was even going to get because he's not a big dude. He's not he doesn't quite look the part of the position that he plays in the way that some other guys might, but he has a pretty ridiculous motor and all that. And that kind of showed in some plays as well. So I think that's a good shout there.
I don't know how to answer this. 52 Sky 505. Can you guys comment on Utah State having the smallest crowd for a home opener in 18 years? Is that a trend or was it the opponent? I don't know what to tell you, man. Like,
I don't know. I'm not. I follow things with Utah State. I don't have a read on like the Cache Valley fan base and how they feel there. I thought
there was some genuine excitement. I was surprised. I'll tell you that because I thought there was excitement A with Bronco and B with this move into the Pac-12 thing. I thought there was just general excitement around athletics there.
One thing I will say, and I guess we're kind of commenting on it right now. I do know that there is a little bit of discontent with that stadium. I actually think it's a pretty nice stadium, but they kind of need like the corners closed, and I think that's kind of there are some fans as well. And then there's a little bit of I saw some people on Twitter kind of mention this too, and again, I don't really know how much that plays to the fan base. I think a lot of people are happy that Bronco is there and all that, but Bronco did shut down spring practice. He shut down fall camp and all that, and that always plays some kind of role. But
he did that here too, right?
I don't know.
All right, Adam, we'll kind of sign off with this one. Bigger surprise, Boise State or UNC? I would say Boise State. I really like TCU coming into this year, so I thought they were going to win. So I'm not going to, even though they blew them out, was a surprise.
Did you think it was more, wow, North Carolina is bad, or hey, TCU pretty good? I think I lean more towards, hey, I kind of really like TCU right now, and I like them. Same with you going in.
Yeah, that's a good question, I guess. I don't know because I didn't think North Carolina would be that bad. I didn't think they were going to be great.
TCU's defense really impressed me. That was some of the TCU I watched last year. That was not there. Even the level of like tackling.
That said, to this question though, I would say Boise State was a bigger surprise.
I would agree. Boise State getting absolutely pounded, whole axe
bigger surprise
out there. That is, not great. And Danielson apologized for everything. It's just. It's so tough.
It's not a good start to the season when your head coach is apologizing for everything.
Literally everything.
All right, guys. I appreciate you guys for coming on. I promise you I will try and figure out from IT why our microphones will not work without an update that apparently I don't have the clearance to give to my computer. So we will be here after Saturday's game. We will have coverage all week. Obviously, ABQJournal. Don't know yet. I know I'll be at Friday night's Alamogordo High School game.
Oh my God, are you doing that?
I believe so.
Wow.
I guess I'll put it at the 99% range. It doesn't really matter. Yes, but it doesn't really matter who the opponent is. All I know is Alamogordo High, and there will be a fight song saying after that game for James Yotis.
I need to be far away from that. Jesus.
The 2-0 Alamogordo Tigers are coming to town, Albuquerque. You watch out. You watch out. Sean, thank you very much. Good coverage. Good stuff from Ann Arbor. And now we on to Cincinnati, on to Idaho State.
Grammar, thank you. And oh my God, I just tweaked my neck. Well, doing that.
It's getting old, man.
I'm getting old. Freshly 19 years old. Thank you to everybody for producing our show for us. We genuinely appreciate it, and hopping on here and talking some ball with us, man. It's always
All right.
fun.
Time for the 12 to 30 second end stream button. See you guys. I'll keep my hand up here, and I'll just keep waving the whole time as I hit end stream.